So most of the videos you'll see on this topic is highly edited and highly animated. It has all this like wow, cool visuals popping all over the place. Unfortunately, my channel isn't like that, and I understand if you're not into that. Most people wouldn't. But if you are into like a more raw, unfiltered guy, just chatting to a camera, stick around. This video is for you. So yes, I started taking creatine monohydrates a month and a bit ago. It's like a month and 5 or 6 days at this point. And the difference has been fairly significant. Like I'll probably put before and afters on like camera now, but like you can see the general idea is looking pretty good. And basically, I found that my biggest concern before taking it was all the hair loss thing. You've probably seen like online all these people saying, well, creatine hormone is like very well researched, but there are some people that have like hair loss from it, and like some extreme cases where people had to go on like these supplements and androxylin, or I actually can't remember the name, but like to get the hair back. And I was like, bro, I don't want to have to deal with that. I'm still 22. I don't want to be like walking around bald at 22. But it's been a month, no hair loss, literally no difference. You can probably see my hair is pretty long now actually. So the hair loss concern's gone, and frankly the gains have been pretty good. But there's actually two other key factors beyond the gains. Of course, linked to gains, but my workouts have been much more energetic. I've been having more energy, more fuel in my muscles to like push out extra reps. So that's cool. But I've also, generally speaking, just a very busy person, like mentally speaking. So I'm like do freelancing on the side. I'm a university student running this YouTube channel, all these things. Ever since I started taking creatine though, my like brain fatigue, I have like a history of having some very mild but existing brain fog nonetheless. And the brain fog has basically gone away ever since I've started taking creatine. And very few people talk about like the brain benefits of creatine, and maybe it's because it doesn't really work for many people in the brain way, but it has worked for me that way, so it might work for someone watching this as well. But now talking about like the exact process of taking creatine, a lot of people, at least in the past, used to do like a loading phase, so that you would be like 20 or 25 grams, one of the two, of loading on it for like, wow, apologies for the background noise, bro. Give me a moment, I'm going to just pause. Okay, so that noise aside, apologies for that, boys. So like, yeah, people who would take like 20 to 25 grams of creatine, like the loading phase, I believe they do it for like a week or two, and then they start taking 5 grams a day for maintenance. I didn't do the loading phase. Again, hair loss thing, I was testing the waters on that, and the idea wanted to be like walking around with the bloated face, bloated body, you know the drill. So I'll just be taking 4 or 5 grams a day, probably actually even closer to 4 grams. I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, 4 or 5 grams of creatine monohydrate a day, and it's worked pretty well for me. And frankly, first 2 weeks, maybe even going into the third week, I didn't see that much of a difference. I can't lie to you. And I think that's a fairly common experience, especially if we don't do a loading phase. But at the end of it all, it's worked out, and I believe I'm actually going to still see more benefits, to be perfectly honest. If I do like see significant changes in the future, I'll make another video like this, but I think this is going to be more or less the most noticeable benefits behind me now. And basically, you'll see the scoops you get in it. In my case, I thought it was going to be a bit too big, as in I thought it was like a 10-gram scoop. It was actually a 5-gram scoop, and I'm like not filling it right to the top. I'm like not taking a heaping spoon or scoop rather. It's like just below the top, so that's just like 4 or 5 grams. If you're uncertain whether you're taking, like how much you're taking, there's a lot of videos online where you can see how much 5 grams of creatine monohydrate looks like. Otherwise, if you have a food scale, use that. I personally don't have a food scale, so I just found those videos online. I actually link a few down below. Hopefully that helps you out, but yeah, shoot for 5 grams. And if you want to do the load into the 5 grams 4 or 5 times, you know what I mean. But yeah, that's like the general consensus. Drink a lot of water, you probably already know that. I generally used to drink 3 liters. I'm drinking 4 liters now. It's not much of a difference, but believe me, drinking that extra liter of water does sometimes become a bit burdensome, but I think the pros outweigh the cons. I mean, it's water. Water's good for you anyway. Yeah, bit of a video all over the place, but I believe some people will be into this kind of content. I'm just not someone who likes to watch edited content myself, so I think having someone on YouTube make a raw video like this would be good for YouTube as a whole. But with that said, bro, I'll see you in the next one. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new here to become a better man.